Okay, let's unpack this. We've all been told the traditional path to wealth, right? Go to school, get a steady job, save diligently, invest for decades, and maybe retire comfortably at 65. But let's be honest, does that truly resonate, with the kind of freedom we actually want now? For a lot of people, it just feels like delaying life, and sometimes it never quite arrives. Today we're taking a deep dive into a book that kind of demolishes that conventional wisdom. It's MJ DeMarco's The Millionaire Fastlane from back in 2011. And this really isn't your typical financial self-help book. It's almost a rebellious reframing of how wealth works.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is DeMarco doesn't just offer alternatives. He really picks apart the accepted norms. His core idea isn't about magic shortcuts or, get rich quick stuff. Instead, he argues that real financial freedom doesn't have to be the slow crawl that you only get in old age. It can be sped up dramatically, but only if you really get the principles. Value creation, scale, and entrepreneurial leverage. It's basically about redefining the whole rule book.
Absolutely. So our mission today, we want to pull out the key insights from DeMarco's work, the stuff that can help you understand these, faster paths to wealth. And maybe get you thinking, does your current financial journey actually line up with your ultimate goals? Or could there be a different road, a faster one? DeMarco starts by remapping everything. He talks about these three financial roads that most people are on, maybe without even knowing it. It was pretty blunt, the first one. He calls it the sidewalk. Now, it's easy to think, oh, that's just for people struggling financially. But his point is, no, it includes loads of high-income earners, too. People making good money, but they manage to spend every single bit, or maybe even more. The traits are classic, right? Poor money management, no real budget, always chasing the next lifestyle upgrade, relying on credit cards, maybe hoping for luck like the lottery or an inheritance. And the scary part is they're always just one setback away from disaster. Think about, say, a 30-year-old earning a couple lakhs a month, looks good on paper, driving a BMW, renting a fancy apartment, swiping the card for vacations. That, DeMarco says, is the sidewalk. They look wealthy, but financially, they're on thin ice.
Right. So if the sidewalk is that kind of financial chaos, DeMarco argues most people then try to find some order in what he calls the slow lane. And this is the path we're all taught, isn't it? Go to college, good job, work 40 years, invest in mutual funds, retire at 65, that whole script. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, DeMarco sees some major flaws here. First, it fundamentally ties your wealth to your time. You trade hours for money, and that's just not scalable, right? Only so many hours in a day. Second, it kind of banks on steady, high investment returns over decades, which, let's face it, isn't always realistic. Markets fluctuate. Third, it pushes real freedom way off into the future. You sacrifice your best years. And lastly, it relies so much on compound interest and extreme saving to build wealth. It's slow. Imagine someone, maybe 45, corporate job, followed all the rules, and they're still stressing about EMIs, inflation, wondering if the retirement fund will actually be enough. That's the slow lane experience he describes. It might lead to comfort eventually, but freedom, when you want it, probably not.
Yeah, that hits home. It's a path many of us recognize. So sidewalk is chaos, slow lane is slow. Where's the alternative? This is where DeMarco introduces the fast lane, right?
Yeah.
How does he define this wealth multiplier? What's the core idea?
Exactly. The fast lane is where everything shifts. It's about changing your focus completely, moving away from just trading time for money and toward leveraging value, building systems, having control, and achieving massive scale. That's how you get exponential wealth creation. It's not about your salary. It's about building something that makes money without you constantly being there. And for DeMarco, wealth isn't just the bank balance. It's bigger. It's freedom, time, health, relationships, purpose, all of it. Fastliners aren't just chasing money, they're designing a life. Their life.
Okay, so if wealth is that much broader, what are the key questions a fast laner asks? Questions someone stuck in the slow lane might not even think about.
Good question. A fastliner's mind is always working on these things. Can I separate my income from my actual time spent working? That's huge. Could this idea, this product, could it reach thousands, millions? Scale. And maybe most importantly, can I own the process? The system? Or am I just building on someone else's platform, playing by their rules? Control. These questions are fundamental.
And building on that, this idea of real wealth. He uses the term wealth triad. It's not just about the money, is it? Could you break that down?
Absolutely. The wealth triad says you need three things working together for true abundance. First, meaningful income. Active, passive, both are good. But that income doesn't mean much without time freedom, the ability to actually live your life. And finally, personal purpose and health. DeMarco's pretty direct about it. Earning 50 lakhs a year means zip if you hate your job, you're stressed, your health's bad, and you never see your family. The fast lane aims for all three. Holistic wealth.
Okay, so how do you get there? especially the financial side. He gives us the Fastlane formula. Wealth equal net profit plus asset value. That seems key. You're not just chasing income, like a salary. You're chasing assets, things that make money whether you clock in or not, like owning the factory, not just working in it. What are some examples of these assets he means?
Right, it's not abstract. Think businesses you actually own. Intellectual property, like software apps you create, online courses, maybe media platforms. Scalable products or platforms where the value reaches lots of people without you doing proportionally more work. That's the key.
And the magic ingredient seems to be leverage, because you can't scale alone. He talks about different kinds of leverage, right?
Precisely. Leverage is critical. First, there's people leverage, building teams, outsourcing. You multiply your effort. Second, software leverage, using apps, automation, things that work 24/7 without you, like an online store checkout. And third, media leverage, creating content, YouTube videos, ebooks, platforms that reach a huge audience without you being there for every single interaction. That's how you break the time for money link.
Okay, so to build a business that actually works on the fast lane, he lays out these 5 commandments, like core principles. Missed one, and you're maybe not on the fast lane anymore. But are they really commandments, like set in stone?
Yeah.
Or more like strong guidelines? What if your idea doesn't tick every single box?
That's a really important point. He calls them commandments for emphasis, I think. They're foundational. He argues that if you violate even one, you're probably on a path that's slower, maybe riskier, less likely to produce fast-lane results. The first one is control. And this isn't just I own the company, it's owning your system, your platform, your distribution, your customer data. Think about it. If you only sell on Amazon, or your whole audience is only on Instagram, you're vulnerable, they change an algorithm, they shut you down, poof, your business is in trouble. Real fastlaners control their own website, their email list, their sales process. Direct access, no middlemen controlling your fate.
Yeah.
That's the real power here.
Right, minimizing dependency makes total sense.
Well,
Okay, what's next?
next is entry. Barriers to entry. DeMarco's pretty blunt. If anyone can do it, it's probably not worth doing. Easy entry means tons of competition, squeezed profits. It becomes a race to the bottom. Businesses that need specific skills, unique knowledge, maybe significant investment, they have built-in protection. The difficulty itself creates a kind of moat around the business. It filters people out.
Mm-hmm. That really goes against the grain of find something easy to start. Okay, number 3. I remember this one challenges common advice too.
Yeah, number 3 is need. This flips the follow your passion advice on its head. DeMarco says, follow a problem or solve a need. Because people don't pay you for your dreams. They pay you to solve their problems or fulfill their strong desires. So find a real pain point, a real need in the market, and build a valuable solution. Your passion can fuel it, for sure, but it has to connect to what people actually want and will pay for.
Follow a problem. I like that reframe. Okay, and then there's time. The slow lane ties you to time. How does the fast lane handle it?
That brings us to commandment 4, time. The goal is detaching your income from your hours worked, building systems that earn while you sleep. Automation, delegation, turning a service you deliver one-on-one into something scalable, like a product or a course. You want income streams that keep flowing even when you're not actively working in the business. That's real freedom.
Sounds like the dream for many entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And the last one.
And finally, number 5, scale. This is the big one. You always have to ask, can this reach thousands? Can it reach millions? If your business model can't serve a large audience, your income potential is inherently capped. You need a scalable product, physical, digital, whatever, and a scalable way to distribute it. The internet, franchising, media. Without scale, even though you own the business, you're kind of just creating a high-paying job for yourself, not necessarily a fast-lane wealth machine.
This whole structure, these commandments,
Yeah.
they all feed into his big idea of an unscripted life, which he contrasts with being scripted. Can you explain that? What does being scripted look like, and what does it mean to unscript?
Right. Being scripted is basically following the standard playbook without questioning it. You rely on the job, the promotions, maybe a pension, market returns. You kind of trade your big dreams for perceived security. You're living a life largely designed by society's expectations, maybe your parents' expectations, not necessarily your design. Unscripting is breaking out of that. It's thinking for yourself. Prioritizing freedom, maybe over stability. It's about consciously designing your life, not just your career path. It takes guts, actually. It's a real mindset shift.
And MJ DeMarco's own story is like the perfect example of this. He didn't inherit wealth or anything, did he? How did he live this out?
No, not at all. He started out driving limos, but here's the key. He paid attention. He studied his wealthy clients, and he noticed patterns. Most were business owners, very few were just high-paid employees, and they all had control, ownership, and scale. It wasn't about the job, it was about owning the asset, the system. So he took those observations, launched his own limo booking website. He didn't just run it locally, he scaled it nationally, built systems, used technology, leveraged everything, and then he sold it for millions. Retired in his early 30s. He literally lived the Fastlane principles before he wrote the book. It's a powerful example.
So after laying all this out, DeMarco hits us with some harsh truths, things that really challenge those common beliefs. First one, your job will never make you rich. Well, that's direct. I mean, for lots of people, a good job and saving is the way to a comfortable retirement. Does he just dismiss that? Is this Fastlane thing only for, like, superstar entrepreneurs?
That's a fair challenge. And yeah, he is provocative. He wouldn't deny a job can lead to a comfortable retirement. But he draws a sharp line between comfortable and rich in the Fastlane sense, which includes that time freedom, that control, that purpose. His point is, a job rarely, if ever, gives you the leverage or the scale needed for that kind of exponential wealth quickly. It provides income, sure, but usually not Fastlane wealth. He's talking to people who want more than just comfort later. They want independence sooner.
Okay, that makes more sense. It's about definition. Another truth, saving a few dollars on coffee won't make you a millionaire. Again, we're always told to cut expenses, be frugal. Why downplay that?
He's not saying being wasteful is good, but he argues that focusing heavily on minor savings, it's a slow lane tactic. Yes, saving helps, but the impact is tiny compared to dramatically increasing your income through a scalable business. Saving pennies takes decades to compound into something huge. The fast lane is about offense earning big more than just defense saving small.
Gotcha. Focus on the income side. And then maybe the most appealing one. You don't need decades to be financially free. That flies right in the face of the slow lane.
Exactly. That's the core promise, right? By focusing on value, scale, leverage, you can compress the timeline massively. His own story is Exhibit A. It's about efficiency, acceleration, not waiting 40 years.
Then there's, you can't retire rich by depending on index funds and luck. That sounds like he's knocking standard investing advice.
It's more nuanced. He'd likely say index funds are great for preserving wealth or growing it once you have significant capital, but for creating that initial wealth quickly, he argues they're too slow, too passive, too dependent on market whims. He sees them as a slow lane tool, useful later maybe. But the fast lane engine is entrepreneurship, value creation first.
And the last harsh truth really sums up a mindset. You must create, not consume.
Precisely. And that leads straight into the biggest mindset shift needed for the fast lane. Moving from being primarily a consumer to becoming a producer. Sidewalkers, slow laners, they mostly consume products, services, media. Fast laners, they create. They build things, solve problems, offer value to the marketplace. So the question to ask yourself, if you're drawn to this, is what can I build? What value can I create today that could potentially generate income tomorrow, even if I'm not actively working on it? It flips your whole perspective.
Okay, so as we wrap this up, DeMarco offers some final lessons, kind of a summary roadmap.
Yeah, key takeaways. First, choose entrepreneurship, not just for money, but for impact and scale. It's the vehicle. Second, be strategic, not reckless. Fastlane isn't gambling, it's about smart systems, calculated risks. Third, you have to learn the fundamentals. Marketing, sales, automation, product design, customer service, these aren't optional, they're essential tools. And finally, study the market. Test your ideas. Speed is good, but structured. Validated speed is better. Don't just rush blindly.
So what does this all mean? Well, the Millionaire Fastlane really pushes you. It challenges you to look past the slow, traditional paths, to consider a journey driven by creating value, taking control, and thinking big. Scale. It's about designing a life of real freedom, not just waiting for retirement.
Yeah, so maybe the final thought for you listening is this. Given everything we've talked about from DeMarco, what's one scripted belief you hold about wealth or work or money? Just one thing you've always accepted that maybe, just maybe, you could start to question. And then what's one small step, something actionable you could do this week to begin to unscript that belief, to potentially open the door to a different kind of financial future?
That's a great question to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll catch you on the next one.